but enough information to identify the general origin of the ETs. We're working with Robert Coons, who's a PhD nuclear physicist.
Right, just had him on.
And
it's like a who's who of coast to coast.
And this is, we still have a lot of work to do on this case, but these witnesses, the two that I worked with, we did some filming with Jaime, and we're going to, it's eventually going to be a documentary, but these were children when this happened. They were about 9 years old, and here they are in their 30s and looking into this, and that's not unusual. I'm trying to think of, that's one of the very interesting cases that we're working on right now.
And you would hypnotize all three?
I have the two of them. And the third one is about ready to do the work. It's not unusual for someone to change their mind at the last minute, because now they're faced with, do I really want to know? And that's not unusual, but I believe he's going to do it. And I think it's important for all three of them, because they've had these memories since they were children. And what's very interesting about this is that they did not see each other after this camping trip until one of them started getting a hold of the others. And, through our now Facebook and emails, they were able to get in touch with each other.
Oh, instantaneously. Instantaneously.
And they flew out, and so we're going to do some more work on that. But, stay tuned, George, because we have some interesting results from some of these implants.
Have you? Okay, I'm going to do that. Have you ever come across anyone or anything that you think might have been a hybrid?
If I come across?
Yeah. They came to you and thought they were being abducted, but they were hybrids.
They were hybrids.
Because I wonder if hybrids know what they are or who they are.
I believe from talking to Bud about his experiences with these hybrids and David Jacobs, I believe they do know that they, who they are.
And I wonder if they know what their purpose is.
The abductees are always told, and you probably have heard this, that they're being trained, and for a particular job, and when the time comes, they will know exactly what they're supposed to do. Now, with the hybrid...
They're pre-programmed then?
Mm-hmm, yes. They don't consciously remember now, but I have from all my cases, I think I've heard this almost from every case that I've had. And I heard it from Jim Sparks when I saw him lecture in Laughlin. I had not worked with him personally, but when I heard him speak about it, I thought, oh my gosh, when is this going to be? And what are they? What is their job? What are they supposed to be doing? People have had dreams of guiding large numbers of people, just guiding them somewhere. So, and I'm not talking about 2012. I honestly don't think the world's going to end then, but I think we're going through a shift somehow, and I feel now that there seems to be a lot of activity at this time. I'm from the people contacting me, and I've spoken to other people. More sightings, more encounters, more abduction.
What percent of the people that you hypnotize that claim to have been abducted, or they think they were, what percent of them claim that something is being done to them medically?
Oh, well, they all do.
It's all of us, 100%.
Yeah.
So one would conclude then, just on the fact that it's 100%, that if abductions are occurring, it's got to be for a purpose of genetically manipulating, altering, or making these hybrids.
That's why this is why I mentioned this earlier. I couldn't have said that a few years ago. I didn't know. But now with the work that I've been doing with so many cases and with people being presented, children, and also women that have been pregnant feel that, when they do have their babies, actually have their human babies, but they feel that their actual baby, human baby, was genetically altered.
Huh. And what does this tell you, Yvonne, about a species that would violate, another entity, us, and do what they want to do, and do it at will? That doesn't sound very friendly to me.
Well, that's the problem. It is so secretive, and when the experiencers or abductees ask them, why are you doing this? What is this for? They really don't give them an answer. It's basically, you'll be all right, you'll be home soon. They really are not given any type of answer. Now, I know a lot of people out there have had very positive experiences, and so they're not going to come to someone like me because the experiences are positive.
How could you have a positive experience? I mean, what would be positive?
Well, this is what...
Is this like the George Adamski cases where they took me up and I saw the solar system and everything looked good?
Yeah, that they're being, they're sharing,
But they don't tell them much about the future, do they? I don't think they do that.
Basically is that what we've heard many times in abduction cases is that we need to all take care of our planet. We have to spiritually evolve and grow and love each other.
I could tell people that.
Sure, of course, of course. No, I'm not. I
don't have to abduct people to tell them that.
I'm not taking away from the people who say they've had, positive experiences, but from my research, people are not being told what is happening to them, and definitely the abductors have an agenda. They do have a plan. I'm just hoping that one day they don't pack up and leave, and that's it. We don't find out.
Look, if it was a great plan, let's look at the positive end of it for just a moment, and that is they're genetically altering us, making hybrids to come back to a planet that they could sustain and they could live in, because the rest of us are going to get killed off by some calamity. Something will happen where maybe we can't breathe, a changing atmosphere or something like that, okay? But if that were the case, if they were doing something to benefit mankind, don't you think they would tell us instead of being so secretive?
Well, I feel that, yes, I feel that if they were here to help us, they would...
Well, I mean, what if they come by and say, look, 2030, an asteroid's going to hit your planet. All of you will be wiped out. All of you. And that's just the way it is. Now, we have made 2 million of you, with us, and we're bringing them back when things clean up, and we're going to rebuild this planet. Well, my first thing to them was, if they're that sophisticated, why don't they blow this asteroid up before it got here?
That's right. Yeah, they get rid of it.
So that's, there's something else going on here.
Oh, yes. And people are also told that they're not allowed to interfere with us. They're observing what we're doing.
Well, they can probe us and do whatever they want, but they can't interfere in our...
As far as, saving us from ourselves, in other words. And I think they're very interested in what we're doing in the planet, because that may affect the rest of the universe. And I think this is what, we're segue into Bob's segment, where he's going to talk about, what happened there on the missile side.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. And you're coming back the last hour with Robert to take phone calls, right?
I would love to.
All right, we'll do that. Next up, Robert Salas joins us with an incredible story, former military. Get ready for this one. Well, next up, you're going to hear the incredible story of Robert Salas. Get ready for that on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast to Coast. Robert Salas served almost 7 years on active duty in the Air Force until resigning in 1971. From 1971 to 73, he worked for the Martin Marietta Aerospace and Rockwell International on the space shuttle design proposals. From 73 until his retirement in 95, he worked for the Federal Aviation Administration. Robert wrote the book Fated Giant and co-authored with James Klotz, which details his UFO incident while stationed at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. Here's Robert Salas this hour. Robert, how are you?
I'm real well, fine, George. I'm happy to be on your show.
Good to have you here with this story. Now, take us back. Review for us this story of this incident in Montana, which was, 1967?
Right, 1967. We've narrowed down the date to March 24th, 1967. And what happened, basically, I was on alert duty monitoring 10 nuclear missiles. This was Minuteman 1. At a place called Oscar Flight. It was at about 100 miles east of Great Falls, Montana. My topside security guard, of course, I was underground, about 60 feet underground, and the topside security guard calls down, and they say they've been seeing some strange lights overhead, and I just kind of laughed it off, and kind of hung up on him, and then about 5 minutes later, he calls back, and this time he's very frightened. You can tell by his voice, he's screaming into the phone, and he's saying, "Sir, I'm looking out my front window here, and I see a glowing red object. It's oval-shaped, about 30 feet in diameter, and it's hovering above the front gate."
Jeez.
He wanted to tell me what to do next. So,
and you're going, yeah, I don't know.
This is not in the book. So anyway, I think I told him not to let anything inside the perimeter fence.
Did you think he was nuts, Robert, at the time?
No, I didn't think he was nuts. I was more shocked than anything by his report. These guys were very professional whenever they reported something to us.
They don't joke around, do they?
They don't joke around. They know we've got nuclear weapons there, and
yeah.
we've got to be very careful. And what I did think was that very possibly we were under some kind of an attack. Someone was trying to get in our facility, and they had all their guns drawn. And so what happened next was one of the guards hurt his hand, and the main guard had to hang up the phone. And so I went over to tell my commander, Fred Mywald, who was taking a rest break, at a little cot down there. And I was starting to tell him about the phone calls, and all of a sudden we get a lot of bells and whistles go off in the capsule, and our missiles started going what we call no-go, or an unlaunchable condition. They were disabled. And so while this object was still up there, our missiles went down. So, of course, we had to report this to the command post and go through our procedures, and we did that. And then I recall my wall turning to me and saying the same thing happened at another site.
With a similar object?
With UFOs involved, right?
Okay.
And when I recalled that specifically, that comment that he made, and then when I started researching this after I went public, I thought that he meant it happened that same night, but it turns out